Hey, how you doing? Duff here, and it's time for another Duff 3D video. I haven't done anything 3D focus in a little while since my Ender 2 video. Actually, I believe this is not sitting level for some reason. Okay. Anyways, haven't done anything since the Ender 2 video, but I have had rather exciting happenings in my 3D printing room, and not necessarily in a good way. Somewhat, well, it wound up being pretty good, but how we got there was not so good. I was in the middle of doing a 2-day print. I figured out how to export my my models, my characters in World of Warcraft into 3D models. And I was in the process of printing one, and it was supposed to take about 2 days. I was probably over a day into it. And this happened on, let's see, Thursday night. And I woke up Friday morning, came in here to look and see how the print was doing, and I saw chaos. This shelf right here, had broken away from the wall. Fell off the wall, dumped everything that was on the shelf all over the room, and fell on the CR10 as well. And I was a little worried because the carriage was just stopped. I'm not sure what happens when it's obstructed somehow. The way that it fell, it sort of like pinned the filament spool from spinning, but the carriage wasn't moving. So, well, I guess the Y-axis was blocked as well from this. But long story short, it was not moving, but it was on. So I was worried that maybe it burned out a motor, or I had no idea what could happen. And I also felt lucky that it wasn't a fire hazard, because the head was buried in the middle of the print, turned on all that time, with bed applied to the heat and then to the hot end. So yeah, that was a little bit of an eye-opener. In retrospect, it looks like the shelf broke because I under-engineered it when I installed the shelf, basically. I only had 2 clips securing it to the back wall. Those clips were plastic, and I had 2 supports in the front. In addition to the weight that was on the shelf, which I didn't think was a whole lot of weight, but in addition to the weight that I had on the shelf, I also had my pegboard suspended from that shelf as well. So the shelf was supporting that weight. And it seems like what happened, from what I could tell, is the plastic clip broke. It just fatigued and broke, and that allowed the shelf to come off the wall, bent the supports, and all kinds of shit happened from there. So what I did when I put the shelf back up was I used metal clips. Now there's metal clips securing it to the wall, and I have 5. Yeah, instead of having 2 clips, I have 5 clips that are holding it to the wall. So, and I also doubled up my supports. I don't know if you can see, but I have two supports here, 2 supports there. So I have double the supports, and I actually have less stuff on the shelf. So I don't think I'll have a repeat of that. But it was a little disconcerting when this happened. I happened to look at the shelf above it, the shelf up there, and the one plastic clip was on its way to pulling out as well. So obviously I did the same thing. I reinforced that, replaced the plastic clips with metal, and I don't think I'll be having any more problems. But it was a bit of an eye-opener. So if you have your 3D printers positioned in any way that they could potentially get knocked over or damaged by something on a shelf or a falling shelf, make sure to double check that. Make sure that the shelf is adequately strong and supported. So anyways, now on to the good stuff. That was the bad stuff. On to the good stuff. Since I had everything all over the floor and all ripped up, Cindy and I had been talking about getting a second one of these 6-foot shelf units or workbenches from Home Depot. The ones that are already built. You just fold out the legs, and you're ready to go. So we wound up deciding to do that. I removed my lower table, my one lower table, which was like this, which is what I had the CR10 and the Ender on, and I got another workbench. And I have the CR10 and the Ender on there as well. So what that does is it gives me some extra space, potentially just blank workspace, or for another printer, or who knows. But there was one downfall. The width of this workbench is not wide enough for CR10 in its stock configuration. The little lip there on the back, this lip, it was making the front end of the CR10 hang off. So my initial attempts to remedy that was to find some spacers on Thingiverse and just enlarge them, and I used these spacers. I put these spacers underneath, it got it up high enough that the Y-axis motor could hang off the back, and all of the feet for the CR10 would fit on the work surface here. But the problem that I discovered was, as the CR10 was printing with this design, this is just like it's literally just a spacer that I blew up. What was happening is, as it was printing, the back and forth motion was actually shifting the printer forward slightly on these feet. So after a couple hours letting that print run, I noticed that it was getting dangerously close to the front of the workbench and falling off, which would have really sucked. So I figured out that I needed a better solution. So what I did is I found another model in Thingiverse like this. And basically the way it's designed is it's supposed to work with the existing feet. And you take the foot off, you thread it through there. I need a longer screw. I have a 2-inch machine screw right now. It's an 8-32 2-inch screw. I got 2.5 because this seems to be a little bit short. And I'm going to attach it that way. And hopefully it doesn't continue to bounce across the table like that. Trying to think what else. I had a weird issue with I had issues actually with my Finder and my Neva. My Neva, I hadn't printed anything in, I don't know, on it in like maybe a week, something like that. And then I had something I wanted to print, and I went to print it, and I heard the extruder clicking like crazy. And I'm like, well, what the hell? I had that problem pretty much handled. I haven't had any extruder problems with the Neva in a long time. And here it turns out what happened was the filament that had been sitting in the tube for a week, it broke, like it cracked. So instead of having a nice smooth piece of filament that ran from the spool holder all the way to the hot end, there was a combination of three pieces of filament in the Bowden tube there. So I had to pull the tube apart and then take some filament off of another roll and kind of just jam it out. And once I did that and reloaded the filament, it was fine. But that was kind of weird. I never saw it before. Did not expect that. And my FlashForge Finder, which normally has been bulletproof, started giving me a hell of a time getting it level for some reason. I'm not sure what the difference is, why all of a sudden it's being so problematic, but I've had to basically do a manual level. It used to be that you could go into the leveling routine in the control panel, and it has a little touch sensor there, and basically based on the sensor readings you turn the knob in or out, and once you hear a constant tone, you know that you have that leveling point good, and it moves to the next one. And that system's worked perfectly for me ever since I've had the Finder. And all of a sudden it stopped working. And it's really strange. So I actually had to go in there and I messed around with some of the settings for the level servo, the little sensor that comes down, as far as the level that it comes down, because from the factory it does not come straight down, it's actually at an angle. And I messed around with that angle a little bit, and it took me a long time till I got it to the point where it would give me some good first layer adhesion. But that seems to be okay now. But I'm still baffled by why it happened, because it was working just fine for a long, long time. So yeah, that's it. I printed another 3D since the crash. I printed another one of those 3D printed electric unicycle stands, which is a pretty long print, and it worked okay. So I'm pretty confident that my CR10 is okay. I'm going to probably, in addition to adding these feet, I'm going to go through and tighten all the bolts. Who knows if something got knocked through from the weight of the shelf, but it's always possible. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The Ender has been printing well as well. The only thing I've noticed with the Ender is getting the prints off of the build plate, it's a pain in the ass. Like I bent one of my my spatulas trying to get one off. It really sticks, maybe a little bit too much. So I don't know, I might look at a different surface down the road. I'm kind of spoiled with my CR10 with this thick boro-oscillate glass. After a print, I just pop it right off. It's super easy. And the Ender 2 is not. It's very, very difficult for me to get prints off. So yeah, see what we can do about that. But I think that's all I have for now. I'm looking to, I'm going to be doing a video sometime relatively soon where I go over some of the things that I built with my 3D printer, because I've gotten that question on some of my live streams. You know, they want to know, like, well, what can you do? You know, people that are novices to 3D printers. I want to show some examples of stuff that I've done, and how I've done them, because you know, it's I think that Cindy and I have done a pretty good job not being all that familiar with 3D printing and creating stuff, especially some of the cosplay stuff that she did. I think it's cool, so I'm going to share that sometime in the future. So that's all for now. If you're new to the channel, please take a second to hit that subscribe button, or at least like it if you liked it. And if you want to be notified of future videos, hit the little bell there. That will notify you by email about new videos as they are posted. And as always, if you have any comments, please leave them below. Any questions, criticisms, ideas, compliments, whatever. I'm open to it all. So hope you found this enjoyable, and until next time, bye for now.